Hello from Portland. Yesterday I mentioned that Chris and I were going to go out to watch Django Unchained, and we ended up watching it home because we found out we could download it to our TV. And I didn't really know what to expect from Django Unchained, and I was completely blown away. I was surprised by it, I was impressed by it, I was totally absorbed in it. Perfectly acted, perfectly written, perfectly executed movie. I like Quentin Tarantino, but sometimes his movies are over the top or they're hard to connect to, but I totally connected with this. I thought all the performances were incredibly powerful. Movies have been made about slavery, but this movie was the first attempt, I think, to really capture the level of righteous anger that would be appropriate to the situation, the system that existed to oppress and dehumanize slaves was as unjust as anything that's ever existed. Compared to that, the injustices that drove the American Revolution were nothing. And I remember when Django came out, I hadn't seen it yet, and a lot of sort of conservative commentators were saying it's a very racist movie, and I remember just thinking, that's a very weird point of view. Because really, on any perspective, the white slave owners were the bad guys of the story. There's really no way to spin that where the slaves don't have the better part of the argument. So it's hard to see it as really racist. It is a portrayal of a horrible system and of a totally justified response to that system. The critic Roger Ebert died this week, and he was one of my favorite writers, certainly one of my favorite movie critics of all time. He wrote a lot about the value of movies in cultivating empathy, and he said once that empathy is the most essential element of civilization. I think that's true. And I think even movies that show great injustice, that show great anger and violence, can also create some windows of empathy into the conditions that produce that, and into the feelings that we need to understand if we're going to move forward. If you haven't seen it, I think you should totally see it. And if you've seen it, I think you should see it again, because it's just a great movie. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.